This shit survival of the fittest. Floor to the young, brought her up Birkin and some titties. Touring all 50 states, I'm finna come in a city. Got this shit right out the mud, that's why I don't show no pity, nigga. Ain't you sick of being broke? Nigga, do somebody. Tired of your family losing hope? Nigga, do somebody.
Whose plan is to infiltrate, legislate, and dominate the West. So this is taking away so much credibility from anything you say about Jewish people. Anybody that doesn't think that Hillary Clinton isn't a child sex trafficking, spirit cooker, Freemason, Satanist, baby sacrificer, singing satanic hymns at the altar of Baal, the god of baby sacrifice. Anybody that thinks she's not doing that, you're a retard. I don't even know what to say about you if you don't think that's the case.
That last year, Donald Trump was parroting Israeli propaganda saying that Iran was trying to kill him. Remember that when Donald Trump tapped JD Vance as his vice president, the first thing that Vance said was, "We gotta bomb Iran hard." And before that, when Vance was auditioning for the VP slot, he went to an isolationist think tank and said, "We gotta give Israel the tools they need to bomb Iran. We need to take out Iran so that Israel can control the Middle East." And the larger point about this, we understand the basics. I think everybody implicitly understands, look, Israel is responsible for all these wars in the Middle East. 9/11 and every other thing was just a pretext to get America to fight their wars on their behalf. We get that.
He says that with so much confidence. Yet when I try to do my own independent research about these things, like, we have access to the same internet. It's not like Nick has like some special search engine that is just better than everyone else's. I'm a very rational, logical person. If you show me facts right in my face, I'm not gonna be like, no. However, I haven't seen enough to say things like that with that much confidence. And what scares me is that Jesus was a Jew. Jesus Christ himself is going to sit on the throne in Jerusalem when he comes back and brings a church along with him to kick the devil's behind. So him going so hard against Jews, yes, there could be people that are evil. Jewish people are still just human beings. But at the same time, without the Jewish people, we would have no salvation. There would be no Christianity. It wouldn't exist. So I'm still cautiously, he says it like it's up and down. Exactly. It's a very, very bold, like, it's very matter of fact. There's no nuance. There's no gray area. It's Jews did this. Jews equals bad. They are the reason why the world sucks. There's so many evil people. There's so many European evil people. To pin everything on this one group of people when the Lord said, and it's shown in the Bible that they've been hated for generations. You got to read the Old Testament. I'm on the book of Judges right now. I've never read the Old Testament before. But I told myself this year I'm going to read the entirety of the Old Testament. God was with the Jewish people, and they were persecuted from the beginning. They simply just were, because God made a covenant with Abraham because he was a righteous man. And that covenant was that all of your descendants, I'm going to protect you and I'm going to keep you. And because of that, since we live in a fallen world, evil is going to hate who's in covenant with God. So I like Nick, I respect him, but to be a Catholic, at least a professed Catholic, and to be in such staunch opposition to the reason why you even have the ability to have salvation in the first place, I think he internets too hard. I don't like Candace Owens, but I think she was correct in her injection of that figure of speech. He definitely internets too hard, and I think he goes, he gets a little lost in the sauce.
What is lost on a lot of people is the role that Republicans play in this. Everybody recognizes that the Democrats are wicked because they support abortion and they support transgenderism and child genital mutilation and gay marriage and feminism and pornography and all these things. We recognize the left is evil. And because of this, we have a tendency to unthinkingly always support the right wing. Why? Because the Republicans are better than the Democrats, because Donald Trump is going to be better than Kamala. But look at the role that Donald Trump has played in this. Look at how he's legitimized this. Here's a little perspective. Let's say that Kamala Harris had won the election in 2024. Let's just say for the sake of argument, she won. Do you think that any Trump supporter would believe that she won fair and square? Of course not. Everybody would be saying the election got stolen and all the elections are rigged. And if Kamala doubled down on supporting Ukraine as
okay, I can see where he's going with this, but also Kamala had absolutely no campaign. She was a retard. She had no principles. She had no ideas. It was a wash. How could anyone vote for something that had zero policy? What did she even run on? The entire strategy was Trump is bad and he's a Nazi. Exactly. Her entire campaign from its genesis to its revelation, ironically enough, was Trump bad. And then she did the whole thing at the rally where when they shouted Jesus is king, she said, you're at the wrong rally. Like, that's not gonna win over Americans. So, of course, like, it tracks logically that anybody with a brain would be like, there's no way this retard won. If Kamala would have won, that would have vindicated everyone that without the shadow of a doubt, this entire system is rigged. That's what that would have done.
People would be protesting and speaking out against it. If Kamala bombed Iran, there'd be riots in the streets. People would say
we didn't bomb Iran. An Iranian parliament that hates their government came out and literally said, thank you so much, America and the Trump administration. You bombing the Ayatollah's nuclear facilities is not adversarial to Iran. It's adversarial to this regime. That's stupid. I don't agree with that at all.
President who cheated her way into the nomination.
Somehow Christians were voting for her. Those aren't Christians. Those are people that want to cosplay as Christians because they feel like it gives them some sort of purpose. They don't actually walk the walk or know what they're talking about. Those are LARPers.
She's a successor to this zombie, this like Manchurian candidate. In a rigged election, she acceded to power. Now she's expanding the war. She's expanding World War III into the Middle East. Everybody would say this is illegitimate. This is like a crime. The elections are stolen. The candidates are fake. They're bringing us to endless wars. But because it was Trump, do you know that 90% of Republicans supported the strike? 90% of Republicans supported Trump bombing Iran on Israel's behalf.
It's Nicholas! Nicholas, you're smarter than this, Nicholas. Death to America! They hate us! Iran has been saying death to America before we even invaded the Middle East. They hate us just because we support Israel. Thing is, Trump had every reason to lose with the accusations and shit. They tried to pile on him, but then when Trump used his infinity to stop the bullet, I was like, oh yeah, he won. Oh, his infinity. And they said, curse reversal red. Oh my god.
Because it was Trump. If it was Kamala, do you think 90% of
Republicans
would have supported it? Absolutely not. Democrats wouldn't support it, independents wouldn't support it, and Republicans would not support it. And there would be unanimity, there would be a consensus that this fake president, this corrupt, centrist, liberal establishment hack was propelled into office and opened up another war. It probably would have happened sooner. But because it's Trump, they'll follow. Because it's Trump, they support it.
I don't
and
think
because it's Trump, there's a constituency that will support another war. Was propelled into office and opened up another war.
Let me see if I'm
There would be a
tripping.
consensus that this fake president, this corrupt, centrist, liberal establishment hack was propelled into office and opened up another war. It probably would have happened sooner. But because it's Trump, they'll follow. Because it's Trump, they support it. And because it's Trump, there's a constituency that will support another war for Israel.
I don't know how to feel about this. Actually, well, yeah, I do. I fully supported the conflict in Iran because guess what? It's not a conflict anymore. They went in there on the B-2 Doritos and they got rid of Iran's nuclear facilities. Who in the world wants the #1 sponsor of terrorism who has a relationship with China to have nuclear bombs? That's not good for anybody. Now, I'm a conservative that in a lot of ways is very adversarial to what Trump is doing because it's not America first. And that pisses me off. And I feel lied to. Now, there are boomer cult members. Just look at my comment section. Anytime I say anything about conservatives, anytime I'm not owning the libs or dunking on gay people or black people or anything like that, how they treat you on Instagram comments. Bro, my DMs, I blocked like 20 people. It was ridiculous. I wasn't even rude. I wasn't disrespectful. I didn't generalize anybody. I said, I don't understand X and Y. This makes me feel uncomfortable. And it's the retards that think that just because it's the side they dislike, that they either have to or they feel like compelled to support it indefinitely. The Epstein files don't exist. What a joke that is. It's like people would rather defend blatant corruption just because it's coming from who they like, and then retroactively pretend that corruption on the other side is some unique evil because they disagree with their policy. It's ridiculous. No, in principle, he has a point just as an argument, but in context, it doesn't make any sense because who the freak wants the #1 sponsor of terrorism to have a nuclear pathway? Nobody wants the Ayatollah to have nukes. Nobody. There's enough nuclear superpowers that exist already. Throwing another one into the mix could, any of these people could trigger World War III if they want to. America could, Israel could, Russia could, China could, North Korea could. I'm sure a lot of different places in the Middle East as well. Iran is controlled by psychopaths. They assume they didn't have them. Yeah, well, you shouldn't trust any government. Of course they're gonna lie. And then Netanyahu was like, do you guys have nukes? We're not going to answer that question. Of course they do.
This is what it is. And you saw it happen in real time. They were finessed from no new wars into saying, well, maybe regime change is okay as long as it comes from the bottom up. I'm sorry, isn't that what Netanyahu is saying? Telling the Iranian people to rise up, to get their water and overthrow their government and love Israel forever. It's the same thing.
Israel has nukes. There's no
Trump
universe
has a role
where
in
they
this.
don't.
I want to point out something else. I saw something startling today.
Let's talk about it,
I
Nicholas.
saw a clip from CNN, where a Jewish journalist was praising Trump's political instincts, saying Trump was a genius,
gotcha.
handling it brilliantly.
I don't
What
think
was
they
he
will.
talking about? He was talking about Trump's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein cover-up. Can you believe it? It was a 3-minute suckfest, a 3-minute glaze session, doing tricks on it, zipping
Doing
up while you're
trips
done.
on it?
Unbelievable. On CNN, a Jewish journalist spent 3 to 4 minutes talking about how nobody cares about the Epstein cover-up. The polls show that no one cares. It's a nothing burger, and Trump is brilliant and has these amazing political instincts. He was right. No one cares about Epstein. This is on CNN.
What a joke.
Have you noticed that the media does not go hard against Trump?
No one doesn't care.
Have you noticed this?
Actually.
In 2016, it was like 9/11 every day. Every day, Trump's a rapist, Trump's a criminal, Trump's a dictator, Trump's a Nazi, Trump's a white supremacist. And that was a big part of his credibility because you said, wow, if the media's attacking him, then he must be good. Has anybody noticed that the media has been in the pocket for Trump for like 2 years?
2
Have you noticed
years?
this? That CNN
how many times did they just try to kill him? What do you mean? For 2 years? The only reason, like, he's the president now, and the reason why CNN has changed their tune is because what Trump has done has been such a net positive for the country so far, at least like economically, etc. Now, if they don't acknowledge it, all they're doing is just going to tank their own credibility. Like, they have to be honest now. I wouldn't say for 2 years the media has been in Trump's pocket. That's not true. I would say for the last maybe 3-4 months, the media has been in his pocket. But the last 2 years, what are you talking about?
His cover-up of the Epstein files? Could you imagine? I hear a lot of Trump supporters say, imagine showing somebody from 2015 this picture of Trump doing the YMCA on the roof of the White House. Yeah? Imagine showing a Trump supporter from 2016 a video of CNN praising him for covering the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. What do you think their reaction would be? If you went back in time to 2016, when people are talking about Pizzagate, which, by the way, you know who was a regular at Comet Ping Pong? Tucker Carlson. It's in the documents. Tucker Carlson and James Alefantis were tight, apparently, and Tucker was a frequent guest at Comet Ping Pong. I'm sure that's a coincidence.
Did he say Comet? What the hell is Comet Ping Pong? What the hell is he talking about? Is that how you spell it? A pizzeria and ping pong themed restaurant in Washington, D.C. The restaurant gained notoriety in 2016 due to the Pizzagate conspiracy theory, a debunked claim that falsely alleged. A debunked claim. Really? Pizzagate? Okay. Anybody that doesn't think that Hillary Clinton isn't a child sex trafficking, spirit cooker, Freemason, Satanist, baby sacrificer, singing satanic hymns at the altar of Baal, the god of baby sacrifice. Anybody that thinks she's not doing that, you're a retard. I don't even know what to say about you if you don't think that's the case.
He's a friend of Hunter Biden, James Alefantis. He's friends with Max Blumenthal. I'm sure that's a big coincidence. But in any case, in 2016,
I would love to someday meet Nick so I could be like, bro, where do you get your information from? Is there some secret web browser that like feeds you the truth to where you're able to talk about these things with so much confidence and so much conviction?
we're talking about CNN is fake news, Pizzagate, Hillary Clinton, she overthrew Libya, the war in Iraq was a mistake. Here we are in 2025, and 90% of Republicans are supporting our war with Iran. CNN is glazing Trump, and they're glazing him for covering up the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. That's the Matrix. And it's time to just say it outright. Donald Trump is the Matrix president. Okay? In 2016, Hillary Clinton was the Matrix candidate.
Okay, I'm here for it.
In 2020, Joe Biden was the Matrix candidate. But in 2024, Donald Trump was. In 2024, Donald Trump was obviously the Matrix candidate. And why? Because after October 7th, that's who the Jews wanted. After October 7th, the Jews knew that the Republican Party, controlled by AIPAC, controlled by Israel, and with Trump in office, they were going to let Israel do whatever they wanted to do. They were going to give Israel everything they asked for, do everything Israel told them to do, and that's exactly what has happened so far. Critics of Israel getting their citizenship taken and being deported. Colombia having their Middle East Studies Department overseen by the Education Department to make sure it isn't critical of Israel.
That's so insane.
Hurricane relief, search and rescue missions being contingent on whether your city or town is involved in a boycott of Israel. We won't make a trade deal with Canada because they recognize a Palestinian state. It's clear, it's obvious, and the media's in on it. Silicon Valley, Wall Street, and the media are all in on it because Trump is their Matrix candidate. That's why CNN is friendly to them. That's why Silicon Valley gave him hundreds of millions of dollars. That's why Wall Street did. And Trump is just dispensing the favors. Corporate tax cuts for Wall Street, bombing Iran for Israel.
You can't say that because how does it serve the best interests of anybody that Iran has a nuclear bomb? Everything else you're saying, I agree with you. There's fishiness, but you can't say we did that for Israel as if these people aren't on record for like 30 years talking about how much they hate America. What are we talking about?
Regulation moratorium and investment for all the big tech and little tech companies. This is the story of the 2024 election. And here's the red pill that nobody's ready for. 2028, the Matrix candidate is going to be JD Vance. Say this and say it over and over again.
Now this is facts.
If you take away nothing else from this show, take away this. JD Vance is the Matrix candidate.
Yes,
they are going to push him so hard in 2028.
They will.
You are not...
Yes, they will. They're going to ride this nigga JD Vance till the cows come home. I already know this for a fact. I can. How is it facts? Remember this, J-Jutsu. In 2028, I promise you, JD Vance is going to be the clear runaway winner of the presidency. And I don't like that at all. I don't trust JD Vance. I know you haven't watched his shows, but if you go back to the last 3-4 shows, the way in which he exposes the establishment industry plant that JD Vance is, who was also groomed by Peter Thiel, who was this homosexual that is obsessed with the Antichrist, that wants to govern the world with AI, who's the CEO of Palantir, who has an enemies list of 2 million people that he wants to keep surveillance on and censor. He is an AIPAC funded asset that is in bed with Donald Trump and invested the $500 billion so that he can run the artificial intelligence database surveillance state that is now implemented in the federal government. JD Vance is an industry plant of the conservative machine. He's another cog. It's like this conveyor belt of these figureheads. Apparently Vivek is a part of the same group. He's a part of the same cabal. He mentioned him as well. I don't know. I thought I liked JD Vance, but the more that I understand about how just this whole political system works and functions, I'm very, very sketch. And this is what I think is going to happen. I think JD Vance is going to have a runaway win for the presidency. Liberals and Democrats are so unpopular. I think that now they're completely shifting away from the left, and JD Vance is going to get in office, and he is going to lead the world into Armageddon and into the second coming of Jesus, because I think there's going to be some insane world war, and he's just going to be an instrument to facilitate prophecy. That's what I think. So could I be wrong? Of course I could be. I'm just a human being. But based off of the information that I have received over the past month or so, that's what I would bet money on. That's the hill I would die on if I had to. Liberals would win the next election because the way MFs are hating on Trump on TikTok. All that stuff that's not real.
Ready for how hard they are going to.
It's such a minority of retards that actually think like that. No.
Push him in 28.
Liberals have no shot. They have the Democrats have like 15% approval rating, bro. Nobody likes them. All their ideas are so unpopular. They suck. They're trying to, replace natural born Americans with freaking Islamic extremists.
Pushing him hard up to this point.
It's nuts.
JD Vance.
Nah, Threads is liberal Twitter or communist Twitter, and Blue Sky. I think TikTok is communist Instagram.
The creature created by Peter Thiel, JD Vance,
or maybe it's communist YouTube Shorts.
They ordered Trump to nominate him. Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and Tucker Carlson ordered Trump to pick JD Vance. And this guy has been groomed for the past 15 years to run the Republican Party by neocons and CIA spooks. The whole thing stinks. So people are on board with the criticism of Israel. They're on board
everything Nick
with
said. This is what I agree with the most.
Fighting their wars, that there's a genocide in Gaza. But the next step that people need to take is to realize that we live in a system that is controlled by one party. And they play the parties off of each other. They've done it forever. And this is what they did in this cycle. When Israel was under attack, they played into the right wing because they knew that the Republican Party would say things like, there's a Muslim takeover of America. Trump said he was going to bomb Iran. We're tough. So they leaned into the Republican cultural stuff. That's why Charlie Kirk says Islam is taking over America, because that kind of Islamophobic rhetoric plays well with the right wing.
It is, though.
That's why they did it. There's no Muslim takeover of America. There's a Jewish takeover of America. Obvious.
Is this nigga serious? Have you not seen Minnesota? Have you not seen Dearborn, Michigan? Have you not seen Austin, Texas? Bro, what? Have you not seen the Bay Area? Have you not seen them trying to build mosques all around the country in state capitals? What a retarded thing to say.
Upon the sun, the great We're done hiding. We're done. We're done being tortured and hurt and judged. This is the correct religion. This is the religion that all of humanity needs to be a part of, Islam. And we will not stop until it enters every home.
When people say, oh my goodness, this Muslim American Society mosque in Philadelphia, we've uncovered videos where the children are singing about chopping the heads off of infidels. And I'm like, I got interviewed by like all of a sudden these national news reporters. Can you believe it? What do you expect them to teach at a mosque? They're teaching Islam. That's part of Islam.
Can we get that video?
This is what, bro. This is why you can't just hear somebody speak and then like, oh yeah, for sure, and co-sign everything. Nick, right now, it's so weird. Nick will go on like a 15-minute rant and say the most based facts shit you've ever heard, and then say there's no Muslim takeover of America. That's why people think that you're a Fed. What?
Takeover of America. Trump said he was gonna bomb Iran. We're tough.
There's literally an organized movement of an Islamic takeover of America. That's their plan. They want to take over the West and force Sharia law on the world for a one world government.
So they leaned into the Republican cultural stuff.
Nicholas.
That's why Charlie Kirk says Islam is taking over America.
But it
That
is.
kind of Islamophobic rhetoric plays well with the right wing. That's why they did it. There's no Muslim takeover of America. There's a Jewish takeover of America.
Have you seen, Jay, I know you've seen the videos that I did. Are you kidding? That's exactly what it is. How can you look at Dearborn, Michigan and Minnesota and Austin, Texas and tell anybody, or New York City, and look somebody dead in the face and say, nah, it's a Jewish takeover? They're like the smallest population on the face of the earth. If anybody is trying to take over America, it's Muslims. What are you talking about, dude?
What do you call it when most of Congress is paid by AIPAC? What do you call it when the biggest donors, like Miriam Adelson, are in the pocket of Israel? What do you call
Nick,
it
you're
when Mike
bugging.
Waltz,
You're bugging
our
right
national
now, bro.
security advisor, is working for Netanyahu directly? They're talking about a Muslim takeover. It's a Jewish takeover. And the Republicans are involved in it just as much as the Democrats. And this is what they don't want you to hear.
He sounds actually like a schizo. Nick, you need to take your meds, bro. It is so verifiable. It's so documented. It's so historically ordained that there is literally an organized Muslim Brotherhood or Islamic Brotherhood whose plan is to infiltrate, legislate, and dominate the West. So this is taking away so much credibility from anything you say about Jewish people.
They want to
Not to the point of
play
ignoring
some
facts.
games
Exactly.
with this Israel stuff, but in the end, they want you to sit down, shut up, vote for Trump in the midterms, vote for Vance in 28, and they're going to give you every list under the sun to do it. But they are a part of this. This is the Matrix presidency. We wanted a revolution. We're getting bullshit. We're getting slop. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's tweaking.
I can't even stand it anymore.
He's tweaking.
They buried the Epstein files. They bombed Iran. There's zero mass deportations. It ain't happening. They're not publishing the numbers. The numbers that we do have show that, you know, when all is said and done, we're going to have about 1.2 million deportations. It's nothing. And they're telling you to get ready to vote for the vice president that's overseeing this disaster. Not on my watch. So that's the situation in Iran. I think we are hurtling towards another war, and it's either going to be by a false flag. The Israelis will cajole him into it, but it already happened once, and they're signaling that round 2 is coming right around the corner.
Nick is you're giving Charlie Kirk of all people credibility. When he weasels out of debating you and wants to just glaze himself and say, "Oh, we're so cool. We have so much staff and employees and all we do is win and you're just mad." You're giving that guy, that disingenuous guy that says, "Hey, go get married even though I built a mega corporation and then got married at 29. Go live the way I didn't and listen to me." You're vindicating him by saying that you're crazy and you just hate the Jews because you sound like an actual retard. How can you deny the clear, blatant, obvious, in your face, well documented authoritarian takeover of Islam? Look at the UK, but you're blaming the Jews for this? Come on, bro. I'm not even saying that they're absent of fault. I'm not saying that there's no validity in calling out the American Jewish population. But to do this, you're bugging, bro. You're bugging. I can't co-sign this at all.
Before the midterms, around the time of the snapback sanctions, they'll create some pretext to do it, and they'll draw us further into the conflict. I hope that Trump has the resolve to keep us out. But that's the situation in Iran. Now, our next big story is related to this. And like I said at the top of the show, I'm sort of two minds about this next development.
It's hard because he's so right and he's so wrong at the same time. He's a person of two minds almost. And a double-minded man is wicked in all his ways. So I don't know. This is probably one of the worst rants I've seen by far.
The other big story tonight is that after a high-profile member of the Doge team was attacked in Washington, D.C., apparently by black gang members, Trump is moving to federalize control over Washington, D.C. Under the Constitution, this is the jurisdiction of the federal government. So theoretically, he can do it. But Trump has taken a step further, and he says he wants to federalize control over New York City, over Chicago.
I want him to do that too.
DOD about creating an anti-protest task force of 600 National Guardsmen that will be deployed in Phoenix and Alabama on a rotating basis to be sort of like a quick response team to respond to civil unrest in every major city in America. It's like a federal military law enforcement operation.
Station them. They need to be stationed in Portland, in LA. Where else? I got to brainstorm.
Every state has National Guard. They're controlled by the state and by the federal government. But this would be like a truly National Guard. Every National Guard has a state-based personnel, and they're deployed within the state, and sometimes for other missions. But this would be like a National Guard. It would be like a national militia, a military body serving the president, deployed in any state in the country for the purpose of restoring civil order. This is a story about this. It says, quote, "The Trump administration is looking at plans to set up a 600-person quick reaction force from the National Guard to quickly deploy to U.S. cities to quell protests or other unrest." Internal Pentagon documents reviewed by the Washington Post lay out the parameters for a domestic civil disturbance quick reaction force, calling for hundreds of Guard members outfitted with weapons and riot gear to be on constant standby and deployable in as little as 1 hour. The proposal, if enacted, would be another expansion of President Trump's use of U.S. troops on American soil. The commander-in-chief on Monday declared he was deploying 800 National Guard troops in Washington, D.C. to combat what he claimed was a scourge of violent crime and drug use.
I'm not mad at this, bro.
As part of the effort, Guard members on Tuesday morning began reporting to
how
the
he's
D.C.
gonna,
Armory.
What he's going to say
The
about this.
documents reported by the Post lay out a plan in which troops would be split into two groups of 300 and stationed at military bases in Alabama and Arizona. The plan reported by the Post notes that the Trump administration would rely on a section of U.S. code that allows him to bypass limitations on using the military on American soil. Now, like I said at the top of the show, under normal circumstances, I would say this is great because we do have a real problem. Our cities they're worse than they've ever been. They're dirty, they're filthy, they're chaotic, they're violent. There's homeless vagabonds everywhere. The stench of weed is everywhere. violent crime and property crime are so frequent.
Weed smells so ass, bro. It smells so bad. I don't think it should be criminalized at all whatsoever. I think it's generally pretty harmless. But the stench of it in public, like, if you want to be high in public, just take an edible, bro. Like, come on. Weed is so unpleasant. It's not as unpleasant as cigarettes. I think all of that is a public nuisance, but man, I do not like smelling skunk ass.
Smash and grab robberies, carjacking, shootings and stabbings, crimes on the public transportation. And the cities seem to have no ability to fix themselves. In Los Angeles, there was a very contentious mayoral election between Karen Bass and Rick Caruso. It seems they rigged it for Karen Bass. Things get worse. In Chicago, they had a mayoral election. We already had Lori Lightfoot. We thought it couldn't get worse than that. Now we get Brandon Johnson. He's worse than anyone even thought possible.
That dude sucks
So
ball
ordinarily,
sack.
I would say, I welcome the federalization of these cities. Maybe now they could get better. Maybe now they'll clean up the homeless. Maybe now they'll take care of the violent crime. But something is going on here. Earlier in the year, it was reported that Palantir is now all over the federal government. Doge, which swept in to reduce the deficit, brought Palantir with it. Because Elon, who spearheaded Doge, and Peter Thiel, who runs Palantir, they are both PayPal mafia. They run in the same circles, employ many of the same people. So Doge sweeps in and leaves
so
without
sus
cutting
of
any
Peter
spending.
Thiel.
And in with Doge comes Palantir. And suddenly now, Social Security, the Treasury Department, the Education Department, Health and Human Services, they're all using Palantir software. And all their databases are being downloaded into Palantir, and they can all be cross-referenced for the first time. Now, Palantir's already in use by FBI, CIA, NSA, DHS. So for the first time ever, the federal government has a searchable database.
We are so
of every
cooked.
citizen, and they could pull up in one interface your education records, your medical records, your tax records, your Social Security records, FBI records, CIA records, NSA with their phone calls and emails, all this stuff, all in one place. Do you know that Palantir maintains a list of over 1 million people who they consider potential subversives?
What does that even mean?
Palantir.
What the hell does that even mean? Subversives? Is that people adversarial to the globalization of government? Is that what that means? Is that people that don't want to be monitored every step they take and everything that they do?
Their whole board out to Israel after October 7th. They reserved 200 positions at their company for Jews. Peter Thiel, the founder of Palantir, said, I defer to Israel on the use of their technology. They maintain an enemies list. Their software is an interface for dozens of federal agencies and departments.
I'd have to find him actually say that.
The U.S. State
I don't know if I
Department
just
said
trust that.
they're reviewing the social media
Off jump.
accounts of people that try to enter the United States. Think of this. If you try to immigrate to the United States or visit or apply for a visa, the State Department is looking at your social media posts to see if you've criticized Israel. Now, what do you think they're using to do?
It should be if you criticize America. It should be if you're adversarial to America. What does Israel have to do with immigrating into the United States? Because it should be nothing. Logically, am I missing something? Last time I checked, Israel is its own sovereign nation. Oh, brother bear.
Do this? Do you think the State Department is manually looking at every application of every person that visits America? They're using Palantir. They're using this software. They're revoking citizenship on this basis. They're denying entry on this basis. And now they're going to deploy the federalized National Guard to the cities to take control. Yeah, I don't know if I trust all this. And by the way, what did they do at Columbia and Harvard? I'll tell you what they did. Last year at Columbia and Harvard, there were massive demonstrations against the war in Gaza. And everyone spoke about this. At UCLA, they call it the war because there were intense protests. Jewish nationals that are not American, weren't even students. They were beating up protesters with metal pipes and baseball bats. There was a giant protest at UCLA, at Columbia, at Harvard. And Trump came in and he seized the endowments of these universities and said, I'm not giving your federal money back unless you hire security guards with arrest powers and ban Israel critical protests. Trump.
That's actually not what happened. They seized the federal funding because they were prioritizing foreign interests. They were prioritizing non-American students, and also it was people on work visas, or people that are not citizens that were studying abroad that were engaging in disruptive displays for foreign governments that don't even have, you know, they were penalizing people that were foreign students for engaging in weird social protests. And it's like, you're not even a citizen here. Why are we going to tolerate you just causing trouble at one of our universities? So it's not so black and white as he's painting it, and it's not as controlled and contrived as he's trying to make it seem.
Trump has effectively made it illegal to protest on campuses, enforceable by like pro-Israel police on the campus, by dozens of security guards with arrest powers to look out for pro-Palestine protests. Now he's creating a quick response National Guard division to quickly respond to protests in every major city. And this might be happening right before a war with Iran. So let's say America did go to war with Iran. Where do you think the protests would start? On the college campus. Oh, wait, they can't. Because if anyone protests the war on a college campus, the university's going to shut it down. And if they don't, the Trump administration will bring the DOJ down on them and take their money. So that ain't happening. What happens if there's massive protests in the city streets like there were last year against a potential war in Iran? Well, I guess the National Guard Quick Response Force will assemble and shut that down too. So much of the protests were...
Can we just have the infinite Tsukuyomi, bro? Can we just do that? Can I just live in a dream world indistinguishable from reality and just live my best life, bro? Can we just do that? Can we resurrect Madara? Like, come on, bro. What the hell is even going on? Nah, bro, I'm sick of this. Bring the asteroid, bro. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with this shit no more, man. I don't. Madara, spin back, bro. Spin back. Man, no, he wouldn't. Madara was the only one that was right. He's the greatest villain in all of fiction. Naruto, for stopping the goat, or trying to stop. No. Black Zetsu, excuse me. Madara was gonna win. That nigga's different. Let me tell you. Madara knew what was up. There's no way people are so evil and self-serving and greedy and vindictive that there's no way to stop human suffering. There's no way to stop pain, death, agony, losers, victors. There's no way for peace to be attained without removing free will from people. And the best solution for that is the infinite Tsukuyomi. I'm so mad Kishimoto made him out to be someone that was manipulated by the rewriting of the Uchiha Stone Tablets. That was some bullshit. Madara was right. I stand with Madara. That's my goat. We need bring the infinite Tsukuyomi, bruh. With my EMS eye. Hold on, I got another one. Type shit. Power is not will. It is the phenomenon of physically making things happen. Nigga. Yeah. This is my goat. What could you talk about? This is my goat.
But under a new deal, which will see ByteDance selling TikTok to an American company, they're gonna restrict the political speech on TikTok. If Americans have
liberals are not the resistance. Liberals are everything but the
control
resistance.
over our government, it's a no-brainer.
Liberals are the establishment,
Yeah,
but apparently
if
conservatives
Americans
are too.
had control over our government, I'd have no problem with this. Yes, please. Yes, please. Arrest the weed smokers, the vagabonds, the homeless, the criminals. Yes, please. Make the public transit safe. Make the city square safe. Under normal circumstances where we have sovereignty, I would say, yes, let's expand government power. But we don't have sovereignty. Trump is running the show. And who does Trump work for? When Elon Musk shows up with a black eye and says that Trump is in the Epstein files, and then they drag him for 2 months over it, and Trump bombs Iran and has Netanyahu come over and pulls his chair out for him, you know we are an occupied nation. When he tells Americans they won't be rescued from a hurricane because they don't love Israel enough, you're getting your citizenship revoked because you don't love Israel.
That's
Harvard is being...
To be fair, that hasn't happened yet. I say yet hesitantly because I don't want it to. But he's saying it as if it's happened when it hasn't.
Shut down because they don't teach Israel worship. You know we are an occupied nation. Do you want our occupied government to get bigger? Our occupied government is now going to have more power, more military, more jurisdiction? Absolutely not. I don't trust that even slightly. So this is not far-fetched.
The foreigners that were there were a handful of foreigners that had a history of organizing protests on campus that were adversarial to Israel and pro-Palestine, and they're like, why are we tolerating people that aren't even citizens, like just causing a ruckus here? Like, get the hell out of here. And apparently one of the dudes was a terrorist sympathizer, Hassan lover. So
this is not in my imagination. This is not a fantasy scenario. This is real. They already did it at Columbia and Harvard. They already did it at the State Department. They already bombed Iran. Now we're going to bring in the National Guard. Really?
Need to buy Bitcoin right now?
I don't like it.
I wish I could buy Bitcoin right now.
And I don't trust it. That's why we have to get our sovereignty back first. If we had Americans running the country, they would deploy the federal National Guard, this new response force they're talking about creating. They would deploy that, excuse me, in the interest of America. I think we could see where this is going. I think we see where all of this has gone so far. Bigger defense contracts, bigger intelligence, surveillance contracts for these weird companies that are all in bed with Israel. It's not good. I don't like it. But it's like, look, the Matrix is getting stronger. Why would we let the Matrix get stronger? Why would we let JD Vance grow the Matrix for Peter Thiel? All right, why would we let this fat guy who's married to a and works for a gay CIA Fed, why would we let him grow? It's like so insane. The JD Vance operation is in full swing, man.
Oh my gosh.
Think about it. Andrew Tate and Bronze Age pervert and all these people, for years, all they talk about is going to the gym, being a vitalist, fighting the Matrix, India smells bad, all this kind of shit.
What?
And now they're all in favor of a fat race mixer who's married to a who named his son Vivek, who was mentored by a Jewish neocon and a gay Fed, Peter Thiel, and the guy's in bed with fucking Israel. And that's your guy? And I'm the controlled opposition, really?
Why is he so racist? What? There's nothing wrong. This is when Nick's take on the gym is no. He said the gym was gay. Nick, there's nothing about you that's masculine, if we're being completely honest with ourselves. I respect your intellect and the fact that you are a large resistance. I like that you're anti-establishment, you're pro-America, but he's dead-ass racist, and he's shitting. If you're gonna shit on JD Vance, shit on him for the fact that he is a conveyor belt conservative that is a part of the establishment. Don't shit on him for having an Indian wife. All that's gonna do is it diminishes your credibility, and it allows people to be able to write you off. That's why Candace was right when she said, you internet too hard. If you want to lead a movement, you have to be principled and objective. You call them a controlled race mixer who's controlled by a gay CIA Fed in bed with Israel. Make the judgments on Peter Thiel. Don't shit on JD Vance because his wife is Indian. That's so weird. Out of rage because Nick's like atop of everything, JD a race mixer. That's not casting a wide net. People are gonna be like, what the hell is your problem? It's weird. And I had to learn that too. But the thing about the difference between me and Nick Fuentes is that I'm not hard-headed. I saw a violent response for being too out of pocket, being too unprincipably disrespectful to somebody. And I was like, you know what? I shouldn't do that, because you know what's more important to me than clicks and attention? Because if I left that reel up, that shit was gonna hit millions of views. It was at 25,000 views in like 2 hours. That shit was crazy. What's more important to me is leading souls to Jesus and calling out debauchery in an authentic way. I don't need to say you're a pussy ass and you're a coward and I don't respect you, blah 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 blah, because I don't like the fact that you won't debate somebody. What's if the goal is to reach as many people as possible, you got to cast a wide net in a way that is digestible. Not like, but actually after listening to it, it's like, I don't hate Charlie Kirk. I don't think he's actually I think that within the context of this situation, it's big to do what he's doing. And I misrepresented even my own feelings about it because it was just reactionary. But what I realized is that there are a lot more people watching you than you think. You got a lot more eyes on you than you realize. And you could be the only Bible that certain people read. And the last thing I want to do is meet the Father and have him tell me that I was lukewarm and he never knew me. If I'm gonna have Jesus in my bio and I'm gonna rep the Lord, there are certain concessions you got to make. You have to represent the cross, not represent your flesh. Got the boss call and saw his career flash before his eyes. No, nobody called me or said anything. It was self-reflection. I saw you. You were, bro, Jay, you were a real one, bro. You were a real one. You're like, this isn't an airport. You don't have to announce your departure. I was like, oh my gosh, this nigga Jay is so real. I appreciated that. I appreciated that for sure. A lot of people got way too offended and got way too butthurt at it. And other people were like, I don't even know what you're saying. You just sound mean and reactionary and childish. I'm way more intelligent than that. I don't need to represent myself in that way, because I still want to be platformed by certain people. I still want to interview and be interviewed by people. I don't want to ostracize myself because I can't control my own dialect. That's not advantageous for me. That's not advantageous for anybody with the public platform. If you want to be like Nick and have everybody hate you and just say, you know what, I'm my own machine and I don't want to work with any of you people. But then at the same time, Nick turns himself into a target and he talks so much shit about people, and then he'll cry and complain when certain people don't want to talk to him. It's like you're not doing yourself any favors.
I is literally a fat
both
gay
of them? No.
who married a G.
You can disagree with me if you want to, but at the same time, I can say something people can disagree with without doing it in an ugly way, I guess.
Who works for a gay Fed, a Fed informant, a CIA contractor, mentor a Jewish neocon.
Can I say that?
Dudes
Am I gonna get banned for that? Is that like the N-word for Indians? I've never even heard that before.
in bed with Israel, and he wears eyeliner. You know, so Andrew Tate said the Groypers need to go to the gym. Dude, JD Vance needs to go to the gym. He's fat and it's disgusting.
Nick, you're not in great shape, brother. You just look like an average white guy. You look like a normal white dude that doesn't lift. You're not the guy to criticize anybody's physique, brother. I'm
People
sorry.
are talking about Groypers. Groypers are brown. Dude, JD Vance's kids are brown. His kids. His wife is brown. She's a... People say, Nick Fuentes is a gay Fed. Dude, JD Vance's mentor is a literal homosexual Fed. Like, how much more clear-cut does it get?
He has a fast
Peter
metabolism.
Thiel's an openly gay man who informed to the FBI and works for the CIA. Everything they accuse me of,
The
they are
hard
guilty of.
T's.
It's crazy. It's actually crazy.
Oh,
And Tucker told Trump, if you don't pick Vance, the deep state will kill you. Super weird shit, man. It's weird. This is what I'm talking about. Always got to be on message. All these allegations against me, it's crazy. Groypers are brown. Dude, JD Vance's kids are brown. Gay Fed? Who? Peter Thiel, your fucking boss?
What in the world does JD Vance's wife have to do with the fact that he was groomed by Peter Thiel and the conservative establishment. Why does he keep saying that? You have to identify why people can dismiss what you're saying and stop saying it. Just because you only like white women doesn't mean that's how the rest of the world's that's not the rest of the world's dating preferences. You sound like a retard. What are you doing? How is this positive to your movement?
And you're fat. And at the end of the day, you're fat and ugly. And we all just hate you, okay? And we don't want you to sit at our table.
JD Vance is not fat. He's not ugly. And who gives a shit that his wife is Indian? If there's any politician in the public eye that isn't fat and it is in pretty decent shape, it's Pete Hegseth and JD Vance. What the hell? What is he even, bro? What an L. What a fat L. I'm glad I can get brought back to reality to not glaze Nick and to just take the parts that I agree with and identify the parts I don't. What Nick's advice for who mixed people should date other than mixed people? Who cares? Anybody taking dating advice from Nicholas J. Fuentes, they're already so cooked. He's a virgin that allegedly gave head to Destiny. I'm sure it was fake, but at the same time, how do you get yourself caught up in a rumor like that in the first place? But you're a 26-year-old virgin that only wants to date white women, and you're a white nationalist that is a race purist who's also half Mexican. What are we talking about? You're a self-hating Mexican, self-exalting white person. It doesn't make your last name is Fuentes. Unbelievable, bro. I'm gonna play a little bit of Marvel Rivals. Just a little bit. Hopefully I can get a cool game. I'm gonna try out Blade. Blade is very difficult. Me and Fine Shit play this game, and she pocket heals me.